Go watch the original video that I'm stitching and also like the clip that's attached to it. This creator is so right. You should never like have to compromise your own mental health for your husband or your boyfriend or whatever getting his dick wet. And I feel like so many of us have been in this situation before where you're like, oh shit, well, I'm going through it, but what I don't want is for him to leave me on top of everything else. So I guess I'll just like suffer through it. And I feel like a lot of times men think that they're being like punished for something that's going on in our lives or punished for something that they're doing, when it's like, if you just made an effort, it wouldn't be a topic of conversation. Women aren't punishing you for them having a bad day. But if you were to make a solid effort to make your girlfriend or your wife or whoever feel better, then maybe she would just want to have sex with you and you wouldn't feel this, betrayal, quote unquote. And it kind of reminds me of this video that I commented on by the Dadvocate a few months ago, I think. I'm still getting notifications on it, where she was talking about dead bedrooms. And I agree with a good amount of her stuff, but some of it is like a little bit heavier. But anyway, she talks about like posting relationship drama on TikTok. And somebody had commented on the post about dead bedrooms about how like women shouldn't use sex as a bargaining chip to get their husbands to like do the dishes or do chores or do the laundry or whatever. And it's like, that is so not the point. For most of us, we're not saying like, oh, I have this thing that he wants, and if I hold it over him, he'll do whatever I want. No, it's, I'm not physically attracted to somebody that I have to mother. If I have to remind you to change your sheets more than every like 3 months, no, I don't want to. If I have to remind you to shower more often than like every 3 days and you like just don't do it, no, I'm not interested. I don't need an infection. If I have to remind you to brush your teeth or vacuum your house when you have a carpeted floor and a pet, no, I'm not interested. And that has nothing to do with me holding that over you. That has me losing my arousal because you are acting like a child. And I'm not interested in mothering somebody that I'm dating. It's really that simple.
It's that simple, huh? Yeah, that's what you said. You said, it's that simple. And you don't want to, what is that? You want to mother your husband or whatever, or your partner, if I want to be modern about it. Well, since it's that simple, I'll be as simple with my retort. And I will say that if you are unable to do the one duty that you have after, decades of, westernized modern, what you guys call feminism and shit. But, what we see is infantilization, victimhood and shit, and the boogeyman of a diminished patriarchy and shit, and one that doesn't exist in my particular ethnic community because it's matriarchal. If you can't do your one duty, then I don't think that you should receive any benefits of that relationship, okay? Nothing whatsoever, all right? We have the same amount of duties. We have to go out and work for a living. We have to provide and shit. We have to take care of our youngins, if we have any. And if you don't, it's just that simple. If you don't want to be with your husband who you married and you made a legal contract with that's presided over by the government, that is, we'll punish that man if he doesn't adhere to his duties. And all you have to do is play a waiting game to get a golden parachute out of that bitch. Then, if you can't do a simple duty, such as opening your goddamn legs or bending over and shit, I don't think you should be in that relationship, okay? You got women hide behind a fading femininity and shit, that, makes men shy away from saying what they really feel. And when they do, you hate it, but you also love it and shit. And then it makes you hate the guys that bend to your will even more. All right? If you don't want to have sex with your husband, you should not be in a relationship with him. If he's not someone you look at and you want to just, bang him all the time or whatever, or at least communicate with the motherfucker, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. You're in arrears, okay? And a lot of the duties that you talk about like carpeting and taking showers and all that stuff. A lot of that can be swiped off the table by simply talking to the motherfucker. I'm not saying nagging the guy, smothering the guy like you guys like to do and shit, because part of that is a tactic to make the guy not want to be bothered with you so that you can put distance between you so that you can do what you want to do and shit. But a lot of dudes are waking up and they're keeping an eye on your ass and shit. And when you finally, get with that work husband and shit, they're going to slap your ass with those divorce papers and shit. Or if a woman like yourself, I simply open the front door and ask you if you want to leave or do you want me to leave and shit, and I'll send you the paperwork. I'm not going to be with someone that doesn't love me, okay? You shouldn't be with anyone that you don't love and that you don't want to be with in a physical way. And if you don't, and if there's some medical or psychological reason, you should communicate that. It's not up to him to read your mind. You're not married to a telepath. You can seek therapy. You can talk to your significant other and tell them that you're having issues physically or otherwise. But you guys usually don't. You let everything fucking deteriorate from your point of view and shit. And then you hang that shit on the man. Alright, you hang that. You blame him for that shit. You just make up rules. You make up your own fucking reality. That's called gaslighting, by the way. It's unhealthy and shit. You want to talk your feminist claptrap and shit, you can do that on the other side of the door. Right? Yeah, it's not a great privilege to have a piece of, to have your hole to put my thing in and shit, okay? It's just a hole down there, and you should use it, okay, in service of your husband, because you ain't doing shit else. You're just taking up air and shit from what I can see. Your attitude is whack. You are whack. You're out of order. You're out of pocket and shit. You have no respect for another person. Everything is seen through a myopic lens of selfishness that is, it personally makes me, ill. All right? You modern women have failed. You have failed the future, okay? There's nothing left over. There's no middle ground for you. There's an extremism that comes from, your own, fantasy and shit. Your own fucking, your own Stockholm syndrome and shit. A dude just wants someone to be there. Okay, we work hard and shit. Why do you think we die before you motherfuckers? We work our ass to the bone for you and the children and the home. We keep a home over here and try to make your fucking ass happy and shit. And you're sitting up with your arms folded and your lips stiff. And, you don't have the wherewithal or the balls to communicate. You don't have the ovaries to open the door and just walk the fuck out. If you don't like what you're seeing or you don't like being in this situation, you're disgusted by his request for physical intimacy and shit. It makes you look worse, not him. He just doesn't know where the door is. But you're going to show him and shit. Once you find some other place to set up camp and shit, it's called hypergamy and shit. In some cases in our community, the community I come from is criminal hypergamy because they exact a devastating payback and shit for that trust that the man put in you by devastating him physically and financially and economically. Okay, he's been deprived and shit. He's living with a stranger. You call it being like a roommate and shit, but I call it emotional abuse. And I think that when your husband asks you for physical intimacy, you lay out the points that you just laid out. He should get up and open his front door and start packing your things up. Okay? Or he should give you the option of, choosing whether to leave or, he should leave. Okay? Either way, it's a win-win for him because he gets another chance at to turn the wheel, to find someone that actually wants to be in a relationship with him. All right? That's what it's really about. You goddamn women, you make up your own fucking reality and then you try to make somebody else live in it and shit, okay? And do you want to call that some kind of like win for you, like you're a feminist or something? And when there's nothing of the sort, you're just lazy. You're a bum. If you have issues, go to a doctor, go to a therapist and shit, but stop abusing other people, okay? Deserves better than that. Time is short and fleeting, and no one should have to sit in a room and look at your fucking face and listen to you flap your gums.
This message has been paid for by the Dusties. Yes, the niggas you love to hate.